Hi everyone, my name is Deb Hamilton. I'm a librarian at Pikes Peak Library District. I am the librarian who works with the Legal Research Collection at the Penrose Library. Today I'm going to give you a quick demonstration of how to use Lexis Advanced. We do not have a subscription to Lexis Advanced at the public library. This is something you're going to be accessing through Pikes Peak Community College. So you all should have a login or information for how to get to Lexis Advanced through them. So to begin, here we are on the home page. Let's just kind of do a quick tour of what we are seeing here. And so along the top, we have our search bar here. You can really put a lot of things in this search box. You can search case citations, other kinds of citations, the name of a specific source, or just what we call natural language searching. So how you would search Google with just kind of terms for the topic that you're interested in. You can already start to filter some things with this search bar. So right now it's just set to search all categories, but if you know I just want cases, or I just want statutes, or I just want secondary materials, you can limit it to those areas. And then you can also limit the jurisdiction. Right now it's searching everything, but you can narrow that down. So if you only want Colorado stuff, you could do that. If you just want the federal district that Colorado falls in, you could just select that one district, or you could select a few of them and search them all at the same time. The other thing I want to point out here in the search area is this advanced search link. And so if you go in here, if you click on that advanced search, it's going to bring up some more kind of sophisticated search tools for you. And so here on the left-hand side of the screen, you have these options if you want, the results to have all of the terms that you put in. So that's going to give you a narrower set of results. Or if you're okay having any of the terms show up, that'll give you a broader set of results. If you need words to show up together as a phrase, you can put them in this box. Or if you need to weed out terms. So if you're running a search and it's kind of giving you some results that aren't really applicable, and there's a word that you can put in this box that will take those out, you can use that field for that. There's also what they call these connectors over here. And these are going to do a lot of what these boxes do, but you could just go back to that main search bar. And then if you wanted that exact phrase, you could just put quotations around the words that you want to show up together. Or if you want all the words to show up in your results set, just put the word "and" in between them. And so that will make sure that all of them are in there. So you can kind of see how those connectors can work. Let me go back to the home page. The other thing I want to point out here at the top of the screen too is that you have this history tab. So if you click on that, then it's going to show you every search that you've run during your session, any documents that you have opened up and looked at. And so this can kind of be useful if, maybe you were doing some searching, getting some really good stuff, and then you went down like a rabbit hole where now the results you're getting aren't what you're looking for. So you can always come back up to this history, take a look at what you did, and then go back to where you were finding the stuff that was more applicable. You also have, this browse area below the search box, and the browse area can be particularly useful if you know the exact source that you want to go into right away, and then you can just search within that one particular source. So let me kind of show you how this works. So let's say I want to search the Colorado Constitution. So what I'm going to do is I'll click on state here. I'll find Colorado, click on that. And then once you get in here, if you scroll down under statutes and legislation, that's where you're going to find the Colorado Constitution. So now I'm going to click on that. And then you have the Constitution right here. And you can just hit that plus box, and then you can start browsing through the different sections of the Constitution. Also note, though, now this search box here on the top, here on the right-hand side, it's telling me when I run a search, it's just going to be searching within that one document. So that can be kind of nice, so you're not weeding through stuff that you don't really need to be looking at. So let's just put in a word here. Just search for that within the Constitution. And so I get a really manageable results list when I do it this way. I only have 3 things that I need to look at where my term has shown up within that one document. So that can be pretty useful. Going back to the home page now, I just want to point out a couple more things in this browse section. So you have like jurisdictions that you can browse through. You can also go to content type. So let's say I was trying to find a secondary source. I could go into here, secondary materials, and then they have kind of the different types of secondary sources listed out. And then below that, they have the different jurisdictions too. If you're interested maybe in one of these sources, you can always click on the I next to it. That'll give you information about who publishes it, how often it gets published, and things like that. Okay, so now let me go home one more time, and we're going to do a few searches just to kind of show you some of the functions in the database. So as I mentioned, you can search just a specific title. And so we're going to go ahead now and search for some jury instructions. And I want the civil one. So if I type slow enough, it kind of starts to suggest them for me. So once I see the one I want, I can just click on it. And so here I am in the jury instructions for civil trials, and you can see it's all laid out here for me if I wanted to browse through that. I could also, though, I see now that I'm just searching that, so any search I run is just in that one source. So let's go ahead and just run a search within the jury instructions. So I'm going to search for inverse condemnation. Okay, and it brings up 5 results. So again, that's a really manageable result set to go through and kind of see the different places within the jury instructions that that particular phrase gets discussed. And you can kind of see they're all falling within this chapter 36 eminent domain area. So that kind of gives you a sense of which part of the jury instructions really deal with this particular concept. Let's do another search here. So I'm going to go back now again one more time to the home page. And this time I'm searching for another specific source. So we're going to search Colorado Water Law Bench Book. That's the one I'm looking for. It's popped up already, so I'm just going to click there. And so again, now I know I'm just searching that one source, and I have this if I wanted to browse through, but I'm going to search, I want to know about easements. And so we get a slightly larger list here, 23. I could add another term if I wanted to, go back and add another word to kind of narrow it down if I needed to. But now I can see where all the different kinds of easements gets discussed in this water law bench book. Okay, a few more searches here. So you kind of get a sense of how searching for a title works. This time I'm going to search for a specific citation. I already know what case I need, so I can just go ahead and type in that citation there. And since it was an exact citation, I'm not going to get a results list. I'm just going to get the case itself, since that's the one document that I searched for. So that makes it easy to find cases and other things. If you just have that direct citation, you can always just put that right into the search box. And then right now I see the search box is still up here at the top, and I can search everything. So now I'm just going to run what we would call a natural language search, so you sort of see how that works. Okay, so I have my kind of topic area I'm interested. I am searching everything, and then I'll just go ahead and run the search. And so then we get this results page here. Okay, back to the home page. Okay, I'm going to run another kind of natural language search here, and then we're really going to dive into what that results page has on it, and some of the other features that are there. And so let me go ahead and put in my search terms here. Okay, so that's sort of the idea I want to search for. I also want to change my jurisdiction though. So we're going to limit it just to Colorado, and then I can run the search. All right, so let's just talk about what's going on here with this results list. So the first thing to note is that it's prioritizing cases. So it's pulled up about 2,500 cases. So that's kind of a lot to go through. If you hit this little arrow though, then you get your other document types. So if I was really actually interested in the statutes of this area, I could click into that results set, or maybe I wanted to see secondary materials, I could go in there. So that's how you change the document type from this initial results page. Again, if you already knew you wanted to go to statutes, you could browse, go into the Colorado Revised Statutes, and then run this search. Sort of just depends on, if you know already what you're looking for, if you want to kind of look at everything first. Below this select a category, you now have all these different filters here below. And so, as I mentioned, this is a pretty big results set. So if I wanted to add another term or two, I could enter those terms here and now search within this results set to narrow it down even further. You can limit the court. I mean, we've chosen a pretty limited jurisdiction, but if you'd chosen multiple jurisdictions, you could weed some of those out here. If you wanted to put a date range, you'd use the timeline filter. If you wanted to weed out, it looks like your subscription has unreported cases in here. So if you wanted to weed those out, now you could just limit it only to the reported cases. So that would be another way to kind of narrow this result set down a little bit. And then you have your sources, which in this case are just going to be the different court reporters and so on and so forth. So you see there's kind of a lot of different ways that you can start to weed some of the stuff out of this big set of results that we have here. These filters, right now we're looking at cases. They may look different when you go into statutes or some of the other source types. So just be prepared for that if you do that. The other thing I want to point out is here along the top, if you wanted to save this results list or print it out, you have all those options there. So you can print it, you can email it to yourself, you can download it. If you use Dropbox, you can put it in there. And I think, with your subscriptions, you also have these folders within Lexis that you can save documents as well. And now, since we're in just looking at cases, Lexis has this feature that's called Shepards citations, and it's a citator service. So what Shepards citations does is it lets you know if case law is still good law. So it lets you know if any other cases have come after the case you're looking at that have overturned it, or if this particular case has maybe been criticized in any way. It'll let you know that just by kind of looking at the different codes here they have next to the citation for the case. And so this green one, obviously that means it's a positive treatment. So that's a good case to use. Yellow, you're gonna want to treat that more as like a caution sign. It hasn't been overturned, but it's maybe been criticized. If you scroll down here a little bit, now we get a red, and it's actually in the shape kind of a stop sign. So really take those ones very seriously. So that means that this case has been reversed or overturned in some way. And so you may want to be very wary and not use cases that have that red symbol. And every now and again, you're going to see these blue ones. It just means everything that's cited it has been neutral. So again, it's kind of more in the positive realm than the negative realm. So you have that information in front of you. The other feature that they have here that you can sort of see in this results list is how they highlight the terms. And so you can see each term or phrase has been assigned a color. And so then when you're looking at this timeline here, it kind of gives you a sense of where all of those terms show up within the case. And so if it's used in the summary, so that's just the bit that's sort of written by the editors at Lexis. Is it being used in the head notes? So these are the big points of law that are being discussed in the case. Or is it showing up here in the actual opinion that the justice wrote? So you can kind of get a sense of how often your terms are showing up, if they're all showing up, or if it's really just, this one we see a lot of purple and orange. So we're definitely getting foreclosure and notice in there. We don't see as much of the other colors showing up in the opinion. So that just kind of gives you a quick visual cue on, oh, is this case really discussing my terms a lot or just a little bit? Okay, so now I want to go into a case and kind of show you a little bit about the layout, and we're also going to look at the Shepards information. Let's first do this positive one of Amos v. Aspen. A few things right here at the top. Again, you have that term highlighting feature here. You can kind of see it a little bit better now that it's larger. Again, we also have all our document delivery options here at the top, so printing and emailing, downloading, etc. The other thing that's kind of useful is right here, if you wanted to copy the citation in this case, you could just go ahead and click on that box. It appears down here, and now you can cut and paste it into whatever document that you're working on. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Then we just have a bunch of information here at the top. So I know which court heard this case. I know when the decision came out. I have the Colorado court number that it was assigned here. And then you have your reporter citations below. And cases do get reported in different reporter sets. So that's why we have kind of multiple versions of the citation. Gives you a little bit a sense of the history as well. So, what happened after this case, what happened before this case. Then it's going to give you some core terms there. And then we get a case summary. So this is just something that's been written by one of the editors at Lexis. So it's kind of like a little abstract. So it's not something you're going to maybe cite in a brief, but it's going to give you a sense of if you need to keep reading this decision. Then if we keep going down, we're going to get into what are called head notes. And so head notes, these are really kind of the different areas of the law that are getting discussed in this case. And usually most cases are going to discuss multiple points of law. And so that's why you're going to see multiple head notes. These head notes can be pretty useful in finding similar cases. So let's say this Amos case was really on point with what we are trying to research. And in particular, I was interested in this head note 2, financing foreclosures. And so if you read kind of through this description where it says more like this head note, I can go ahead and click on that, and it's going to give me other cases from my jurisdiction that I've selected that have this same head note. So my internet's running a little slow today, but here it goes. It's loading up now. So now I have all of these cases that match that same head note too. So this can be a great way if you find a really useful head note in a case that you're looking at, clicking on that more like this head note. That can be another way to kind of quicken up your research time, because then you're finding all those other cases that have been indexed with that. Then if we keep scrolling down through all the head notes, then we get another kind of quick overview here. We get which attorneys were involved, as well as the name of the justice who wrote the opinion and the other justices that sat in. And now opinion, this is where what the judge wrote is starting now. And you'll see any other source that gets cited. So, here we have the Colorado Rules of Civil Procedure. we're getting parts of the Colorado Revised Statutes cited in here. You may see other cases that get cited in an opinion. All of these are hyperlinked. So if you're like, well, I'm not that familiar with this Rule 120, you can just go ahead and click on that and read it right there. So that makes it kind of nice. And so again, yeah, you can see cases that get cited in here. And then sometimes, let's just go to the very bottom of the case. Oh, one other thing I want to point out, because I saw one here. All of those head notes that we had at the top, you'll see these little notes within. So that'll make it really easy for you to identify, well, where does that point of law actually get discussed in the opinion? You just have to look out for these little head note markers within the case. And then if you go to the bottom, if there's a dissent, that's now going to be here. So you can read through the dissent. And then I think once you get all the way to the very bottom, now you have any footnotes that were produced in the case. So you have that information as well. So that can be kind of useful. Okay, I'm going to go back to my results list. We're going to look at that the case with the red stop sign to discuss the Shepards features. So let me get down to that one. And so I'm going to go now into this other Amos case. And the Shepards information is all here. So if I just wanted to see the top citing reference, so why this one has the red stop sign as opposed to the green diamond, I could click on that. And then you have the history that's linked there. Citing decisions, these will be other cases that cite this particular case as an example. And then sometimes, though, cases might get cited in, annotations for statutes or secondary sources, so that's what's listed there. But kind of the easiest way I found is if you just go into citing decisions, click on that, and that'll kind of give you the range of what's going on with this Shepards. And so appellate history, this then will show you sort of, what case overturned this particular one, and any other cases that sort of have this negative treatment of the case. And then the citing decisions, again, these are the cases that have cited this Amos case as an example. If this Amos case wasn't marked red, let's say we were looking at the green Amos case, then this could be another way to find potentially useful cases that are sort of in line with what you're trying to research, because again, they're citing that case as an example. And then the other citing sources, these are going to be things like briefs and motions, so other kinds of court documents. You might also get some statutes in there. Every now and again, you might see secondary sources here for the type. And then this last one, the reason I went in this way is so we could also see these table of authorities. And so the citing decisions, they are the decisions that come after the case that's cited as an example. These authorities are the cases that this case relies on for its arguments and discussion. And so this, again, can be another way to find similar cases that are discussing similar things that could be potentially useful for you. So there's all these nice tools that are sort of built in that once you find a really good case, you just need to pay attention to the head notes, pay attention to the citing decisions, pay attention to the table of authorities, and a lot of your research will be done for you by the database. Okay, so let me then just go back into this case one more time. I think we're almost done. And so again, your document delivery options are all there at the top for this particular case. And so this should just kind of give you sort of an overview of what this particular database can do. If you do have questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to me at the public library. So you can find all my contact information at ppld.org. So thanks for your time and happy searching.